Now to Boulder, Colorado. Earlier today, the site of an act of terrorism, domestic terrorism, against a pro-Israel demonstration. People were set alight with a number of individuals seriously hurt, some with life-threatening injuries. This was among the first clips after the attack. In the chaos, you can see people running towards and away from the attack, and you can see the alleged attacker, Mohammed Solomon, to the left of your screen, topless and metres away from victims who he'd just set alight.
Stay.
FBI Director Kash Patel said the incident was a targeted terror attack. Let's have a look at this footage of the alleged terrorist shouting about Zionist as a badly injured woman is helped by brave individuals.
We're here, brother. We're here. We can't do nothing about that. We can't do nothing.
We can.
Not here.
Zionist.
Not here, bro. You're not.
I'm taking video right now. He was wearing an orange suit with like something on the...
And in this clip, you can see the man continuing to rant about Palestine and calling the pro-Israeli protesters killers.
Palestine is trying and for us.
Well, we can't do it when he's got Molotov cocktails on.
If you are fighting, you have to.
That's what he's got right here. Is Molotov cocktails.
Right there.
It's alcohol.
They are killers.
Get back, Mom.
Joining me now is author and commentator Shamika Michelle. Shamika, it's hard to believe that that's America, but there's no doubt that the anti-Jewish, anti-Israel sentiment has intensified in recent weeks.
You know, Rita, it's really sad. As you said, this is America, and this isn't something that I'm used to seeing, you know, being here all of my life, about 25 years. I'm just kidding. But, you know, it's just sad that we have to witness this. And it's sad that people just going out for a peaceful protest have to be harmed in this manner. And it really makes me upset that people would go out and do this to fellow Americans. I don't understand why Boulder is refusing to call it a terror attack. That's exactly what it is. But it just shows exactly how terrible the hold is the left has, that they just won't call a thing a thing. They never say exactly what it is.
Well, you're right about that, because it seemed to be a clear case of domestic terrorism. There's so much footage of the incident and the alleged assailant saying what he's saying. And even after the FBI labelled it a terror attack, local authorities in Colorado were reluctant to do so. Let's listen to Boulder Police Chief Stephen Redfern.
FBI is already calling it a targeted terror attack. Would you also refer to it as a terror attack?
So I've been in contact with our local FBI multiple times. We are in contact with them here. We are not calling it a terror attack at this point. Again, it's way too early to speculate motive. You know, I know there's a lot out there on social media, but I ask people just to give us a little bit of patience while we work through a really complex scene.
Shamika, why do you think this is? They are so reluctant to call a spade, even after it identifies itself as a spade.
I think they're just so used to lying. This is what mainstream media does, and they promote this type of behavior because someone behind the camera or behind the microphone should have called him on his foolishness. Because if the FBI has already determined this is what it is, what do you mean you don't know what the motive is? The man was hollering free Palestine. I just don't understand why we have to be so silly and pretend like we don't know his motive when it's clear.
Well, there were anti-Israel speeches at a number of universities across the US in recent days, including MIT. Let's listen here to the class president, Miga Vamuri, who spent her graduation speech advocating for Palestine and bashing Israel.
Last spring, MIT's undergraduate body and graduate student union voted overwhelmingly to cut ties with the genocidal Israeli military. You called for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. And you stood in solidarity with the pro-Palestine activists on campus. We are watching Israel try to wipe Palestine off the face of the earth, and it is a shame that MIT is a part of it. The Israeli occupation forces are the only foreign military that MIT has research ties with. This means that Israel's assault on the Palestinian people is not only aided and abetted by our country, but our school.
Shamika, these protests across university campuses are ongoing. We're seeing some of their top students using a moment where they're supposed to be celebrating academic excellence, devoting it to activism. What is happening in American universities? I thought the Trump administration was really looking at tackling some of these issues.
You know, I know it's going to take time, but I am so excited about them tackling these issues. The universities here are really just indoctrination camps. And I'm so glad this wasn't at my daughter's school. My two youngest just graduated college a couple of weeks ago. And I am so grateful that the speakers during their graduation ceremonies just really encouraged them. They applauded them for their accomplishments, told them how to go out into the world. It was not a political rally or something that had absolutely nothing to do with them. It just makes me upset that she took this time when other people were graduating as well to use this for her own, special soapbox. I would have been in the audience booing her and telling her to shut it up because this was just not the time or the place.
Now, let's talk about the Trump administration's efforts to deport the millions of illegal immigrants that Joe Biden allowed into the country. The Democrats are fighting this tooth and nail, using the courts, activist judges, and we've got here veteran Democrat Jerry Nadler explaining why America needs illegal immigrants. He says without them, who's going to pick the vegetables and have babies?
And we need immigrants in this country. Forget the fact that the farm, that our vegetables would rot in the ground if they weren't being picked by many immigrants, many illegal immigrants. The fact is that the birth rate in this country is way below replacement level, which means our population is going to start shrinking.
Shamika, we need illegal immigrants to pick vegetables. Does that remind you of an argument from the long dark past?
Right, exactly. And how disrespectful it is to just diminish them down to vegetable pickers. Jerry is actually shaped like a peanut M&M with legs. I just can't take him seriously. So many of them sit in these positions decades after decade, and just say the craziest things. They don't even realize they're being racist or xenophobic. He's just coming out of his mouth to just diminish an entire group of people down to vegetable pickers. That's something I would do, just as a joke. To see this in Congress is crazy.
No, you would do it as a joke. He's making that as a serious argument for stopping these deportations. It's akin to arguing for keeping slavery. I mean, who else is going to pick the cotton? It is just abhorrent. Now, you mentioned nobody trusting the mainstream media, the leftist mainstream media in the US, and earlier today, CNN referred to that alleged domestic terrorist as a white man, naturally. And here we've got NBC News gaslighting the nation, or trying to, by calling a boy competing in and dominating girls' sporting events, calling him a she, calling him her, and painting this grossly unfair situation as something to be celebrated.
A.B. Hernandez opening up for the first time about her ongoing participation as a trans athlete in a high school girls sports competition. It's generated strong criticism, including from President Trump, who threatened to cut state funding if they, quote, illegally allow men to play in women's sports. This was the girls' triple jump varsity competition on Friday, held at Buchanan High School in Clovis, where Hernandez took the top spot. A few hours earlier, the high school teenager competed in the girls' high jump and long jump varsity, where she also ranked first place and qualified her to Saturday's events.
When you see how happy this kid is being herself, you know, the first time I saw her come out dressed as a girl where she didn't have to hide it from me, I saw it in her face, so I was like, this is it.
Well, yes, her boy is happy, but Shamika, what about the girls who lose out after years of training?
Right. The actual girls are not happy at all. And this is why I could never be a part of mainstream media, because I would actually call the boy a boy. You know, if it walks like a duck, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. That's a boy. I don't care how long he grows his hair. I don't care that he wears makeup. I don't even care if he takes his male parts and sit them on a mantle and pray to him. You're a boy. And so it just makes me upset that we have these grown adults that won't lead these kids in the right direction to say, look, this is the way you were created. This is what you are. You can't change it. You can't change your chromosomes. Therefore, you cannot change your gender. You are what you are, and that's just the bottom line. We would never be promoting this if he said, I want to be Spider-Man. We would never say, well, go up to the tallest building and climb out the window and let's see you scale down. We would never say that to him. So I don't understand why we are allowing children or even adults to think there's something that they aren't.
Shamika Michelle, thank you so much for your time tonight.